So will my 420cc big block mini bike put down the power with this cheap clutch and different gearing? So in the last video, I threw a 420cc big block on a Doodlebug frame, and the bike ran pretty good. I mean, you can tell it has a lot of torque, but the only thing is, with the highway gearing that's on the bike and then the clutch, it just wouldn't put down the power. I mean, it would totally slip the clutch. Yeah, I can smoke the clutch if I want. So this bike's running a 420cc big block, and I removed the internal and external governor, added a PZ30 carburetor, and then a header pipe. And then it's running a cheap, generic 14-tooth clutch that was kind of worn out when I threw it on here. And then a 40 rear sprocket. So this thing is totally highway geared. So with this setup, this bike would not put down the power. I mean, it's just too much gear for the amount of torque the big block's putting out. So this time around, I'm gonna throw on a new 14-tooth generic clutch, but at least this one is new. And then I'm gonna swap out the 40-tooth sprocket for this 50-tooth sprocket. So I think this will work a lot better. It'll go from a 2.85 ratio, which is super highway geared, to a 3.57. So it'll be a little bit better anyway. And we'll see what that does. We'll see if that clutch will engage halfway so I can get a 0 to 30 time and a top speed out of this thing. I think last time around, it did pretty close to 60 miles an hour or around 60 miles an hour with the slipping clutch. I mean, you just cruise along, it just lugs along at 60 like nothing. So, I mean, it's still pretty good, but you definitely can tell it was leaving a lot of power on the table. I mean, it had a lot left in it. So it's nice having this motor plate on here. Makes for easy clutch and gear swaps. So we have identical clutches here, but you can tell the old one was totally overheated. And that thing got hot. I mean, the reason that I actually got this thing so hot, well, because of this bike with its highway gearing, but I actually used this clutch on this CT200U EX with a modified big block and the big tires. So it totally just smoked this clutch. So definitely gonna be a lot better with the new one. These old school axles are cool. They're pinned instead of having that nylon locking nut. So I have another sprocket option I could throw on there too, is a 60 rear sprocket. So that would bring it up to a 4.27 gear ratio, which would probably work out pretty good with the clutch. But the thing is, if I throw a torque converter on it later with a 10-tooth driven sprocket, that thing is gonna be a wheelie happy bike. So I have the 40, the 50, and then I have a 60. And they'll all be pretty hub centric because the center hole is the same size. I'm gonna end up having to drill one of these out anyway for the 6-bolt pattern. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use the 50 sprocket. So I got the original sprocket clamped onto the 50 sprocket so I can drill out the holes. I mean, that's a happy medium. Those tires on the Doodlebug are not that tall compared to like a CT200U EX. So I got her all drilled out and I got them nice and centered. I mean, you really can't mess these up because the center hole will keep the sprocket hub centric or centered anyway. But I might have to add some more chain to this since we're going from a 40 sprocket to a 50. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and throw the new clutch on there and then add a few links of chain. So I don't have a master link on this chain, so I'm gonna break out the old chain breaker. So I got the chain decently tight on the sprocket here and on the sprocket there. So I need about 6 links in here. That looks about the right length, I think. Use my old trusty alignment tool on here so you can see that it's in alignment. I think that'll do it to it. And I got the tensioner wheel right in the middle, so I got plenty of adjustment. I think it's going to work out even a little bit better with this bigger sprocket on there, because off of the chain tensioner you get a little bit more chain wrap, so it comes up at an angle, so that's a little bit better as far as the chain falling off. So I did get a top speed after all on the build video on this bike, even with the clutch slipping. So I forgot that I put it on the board here. So with the 40 sprocket, 30mm slide carb and the short header, I wasn't able to get a 0 to 30 because of clutch slippage, and then I got a 61.40 top speed. So maybe this time around I can get a 0 to 30 out of this thing, and then hopefully retain that 61.40 top speed, even though I lowered the gear ratio. So let me fire this thing up, and then I'll take it out and run those tests. Go see if we can at least get a 0 to 30 time on this. Hopefully the clutch doesn't slip too bad. That feels a little bit better. Oh yeah, it definitely feels better. Oh yeah, it moves out pretty good. I don't know how bad it'll slip from a dead stop with a lot of throttle, but it picks up really good. Alright, let me try to do a 0 to 30 here. Oh yeah, this thing is quick. It's a lot better. Did 0 to 30 in 3.29 seconds. And I didn't really get on it all the way from the very beginning. Let's try it again. I think I get this bike into the 2-second range, 0 to 30. Man, it's got a lot of mid-range pull to it. I mean, it grabs speed quick. It already does 0 to 30 in the low 3-second range. And that's with a slipping clutch. Alright, let me try it again here real quick. Man, that thing is quick. At 3.24, and you can hear the clutch slipping from the beginning. So I mean, this is definitely a 2-second bike. Once that clutch engages, this thing has like massive torque. Definitely put a lot more power down, I'll tell you that. Alright, let me go see if I can get near that 61 miles an hour top speed from last time around. Yeah, watch how fast this thing grabs speed once that clutch engages. Yeah, it's not a bad gear for this bike. Decent top speed, 54 right there. It doesn't seem as fast as it was before, but you throw that cam and some spring in this thing and it would move. it gets the speed. So pretty close to 60 right there. Springs right there. I mean, pretty close to 60. Yeah, that gear setup made a big difference. I mean, it's a lot quicker and almost as fast. So with a new clutch in the 50 sprocket, we got 3.24 0 to 30, and that's with the clutch slipping, and then 59.23. So we're pretty close to the top speed. So the clutch almost puts the power to the ground. I mean, once the clutch does fully engage, the thing is quick. I mean, it pulls really hard. It definitely puts a lot more power to the ground than it did before. So with a decent clutch, this thing, I think, could get into the 2-second range with no problem. And then the top speed, it almost hit 60, so I think we're hitting the valve springs now. I mean, because it's a totally stock internal 420.